السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين والصلاة والسلام على من جاءنا بالبينات والهدى فأعجبنا واتبعنا محمد رسول الله اللهم صل وسلم وبارك وأنعم عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. We thank Allah, the Lord of the universe. May His upon the one sent to serve as a blessing and guidance for mankind, Muhammad Abdullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We welcome you once again to Iqra. It's a program, of course, that enlightens Muslims and non-Muslims alike about the fundamentals and key issues of Islam. I am Abu Bakr Dabo, and with me is Dr. Abu Bakr Senghor, the Dean of the University of the Gambia and an eminent scholar in this country. Doctor, welcome you to the program. Okay, before going far, I would like to first and foremost extend my condolences to one of my ustazes who had an accident these days. He lost some of his children and his wife, who is no other person than Omar Fawajite. We extend our condolence to him. He is our sheikh. Doctor, before I started coming to GRTS, I used to attend many of his talk shows, his lectures, and he's one of those people who inspired me, definitely. Yeah. So when I heard the news, I was definitely shocked. And I said I will have to endear him to take faith and know that this is, as he teaches, predestination. But I'm left to inform you that woman and Allah Ta'ala tend to kasal kilani mala Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam lafakal be bisimna na ikra kachado be na kachanya da kala nung tuab kangolte but komandana bi la faming faladrom wala pour na sunoy tan din sheikh wala min keta Sheikh Omar Faba jitati atemu molti mi alon ko ndela role modem lem ni ko mu fenyama bi nga karanga bulu ngamina nung tumanda ten lon na mol kono bari bidim janimina GRTS jang aka kacha jamal ke mi yalon ko wato wat akon tafsirol lem ko jama bi mi yalon ko nkama beje nka karanga bulu nka fenyama karanga bulu o kamala biri ngala nyi accident o mi yalon ko ya fo ala no mo nyoto taji anala dinningol rake nyen ni ku ya bate so mba konton na sangonyin na kay tandala ko afon ka mol karane mina donc mo se sabarota fanan se sabarota alon ko ala yalla nyen almale ko be sunanda inshallah docteur ila fa fam falaw
Thank you very much, Overcare. I am also very sorry about this incident. I was informed shortly before I left for the television just a short while ago. Like you, my wife also is a student of Omar Gite. Gite is one of the heroes of Islam on the field of da'wah. He's known for he's a very knowledgeable person, very pious, and very strong in defending Islam. When he's preaching, so if something like this happened to him, it can only be called ibtila, divineness. Like you rightly mentioned, part of his teachings and other eminent scholars and preachers is to be calling people to accept Allah's destiny, Allah's decision. This is divine, and this is what Allah has decided. There was no way that it could have been avoided. So the best thing for us, and the most, in fact, one thing we should do is to pray for the departed souls. And also we pray for him. For the Quran says, "Ma nansa min ayatin aw nunsiha na'ti khayran minha mithlaha." وندعو الله عز وجل إن شاء الله أن يبدله بخير منها. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive
the departed souls
and send them in al-Jannah, al-Firdaus.
Thank you very much. And we would like to thank all the ustazes like Sheikh Suyuti. Today in the morning I was listening to his program. He was also saying a lot of wonderful things and express his condolence also. We would like to also say that here. Apart from that, doctor, we continue with our program, which is transactional trade. We understand that when you talk about transactional trade, there are a lot of key components that you have to touch on, including the language of the business, because dealing with somebody who has a property or you having a property you want to sell, there's a language or mode of communication that you should use which is understandable to both of you in clear terms. And you cannot do that, if you don't speak the same language, if there's a language barrier between the two of you. Now, let's say if you speak English, someone speaks French, and or you want to sell to somebody who cannot talk, you know, a dumb person. How do you communicate in business?
Thank you very much, Abubakar. Remember what we said from when we started our discussions on transactions. One of the arkan al-buyur, the elements, the essential elements that constitute transaction in Islamic law. One of the elements, the basic element, is the words that are used to convey the meaning of the two parties, the seller and the buyer. You know, we made it very clear then that meeting of the consent of the two parties was a fundamental issue. You know, and the words that they use to convey their messages, so as to have their two consents met, and then for a transaction to be constituted is very important. And therefore, if the two parties cannot communicate directly, or they cannot communicate verbally, they may be able to communicate either through somebody, through an intermediary person, or through
gesticulations,
speculations or signals, or just speculation or signals. And like, remember, it happens. So you come to a market where the language that people speak, you cannot speak it. Like, suppose you come to a place where the only language they speak is Bambara, and you can speak Bambara. But normally, if you do something like this, indicating
money.
Yes, money. How much is it?
Yeah.
How much? And somebody will do like this, you mean 20. Now 20 what? The context, the environment will define 20 what? Like if you do like this, it's 20, that's 20 in the Gambia, $20. For instance, if you do something like that in a country like, let's say Senegal, it could be, it must be interpreted in terms of CFA. And after all, when you take out the money, you know, if you know you can't speak to each other directly, but when the money comes out, the seller will know exactly whether you understand the message or you don't understand the message. And you too, when the object of sale is presented to you, and you take out the money, and the other party accepts. So each, now, because of the how do you call it, the signals that you are sending, doing, in the indirect way that you are interacting, each one of you will get to understand the other. And therefore the transaction will be constituted, and it becomes the sell or sale transaction is constituted, and it becomes an act of act of sale, provided that, of course, other conditions are met.
Okay.
Yeah.
Another thing is to over persuade somebody who has a property you want to buy. Yeah. Persuading him to the extent that he can't refuse your offer. Yeah. He takes it. Yeah. You laugh at each other, say salam, you go away, but he still feels in his heart that I'm not happy with this transaction. How is that Islamic?
Sometimes it happens to many of us that you enter the market. Some people, they're very, very powerful when it comes to conveying